Hi, I'm Dr. Renee of Pleasant Leadership Consulting, where we inspire your leadership freedom. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is our Leadership University exclusive to Pleasant Leadership Consulting. If you haven't done so, please go ahead and subscribe below. That way you're notified every time we upload a video. It used to be just once a week, but we are now up to 3 times a week, so you don't want to miss any of our videos, and sometimes we upload more than 3 times a week, so you definitely want to be a part of it. Today marks our last day in the series for our leader accountability, and I've got to tell you, this has been an amazing, amazing series. If you missed any of our previous videos, don't worry. You can go to our playlist and you can catch up on the series, or you can just rewatch one of the previous series. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. If you're not following us on social media, we would love for you to follow us on one or more of the platforms. On Facebook, you can find us under Pleasant Leadership Consulting, Original. On Instagram, we can be found as the handle Pleasant_Leadership. And on Twitter, we are at PleasantLeader1. All right, the objectives for our 4-week series have been very brief and to the point, but I think that it will all tie in together, especially today. So the first week we did some accountability statistics, and that was very informative. Week number 2, we went through what is accountability. We did the definition, what it looks like in your organization when there is a lack of it, as well as when it's present. Week number 3, we talked about who is responsible. Who's responsible? The leader. Spoiler alert. And then today, we're going to talk about accepting responsibility for our actions. And oh my gravy, that is so hard for us to do because we're humans. And we are so prideful, and it's so hard for us to take that responsibility, but we're going to talk about how to do that. And we're going to talk about 10 ways on how we can be accountable in a workplace, and just little ways to build up that accountability credibility, if you will. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, so last section for this series, accepting responsibility for actions, your accountability, your responsibility, and for others. All right, responsibility. No single drop of water thinks it is responsible for the flood. How many of us have ever had somebody say, that's not my fault? You know, when something happens, right? It's in our nature to want to not accept blame, right? Or just to say, I don't know. That, as a parent, or even as an educator, when you ask, like, what happened? Our first go-to response is, I don't know. You do know, but nobody wants to like lead with that. So no one wants to accept responsibility. It takes time for us to build a culture where we're gonna drop that go-to answer of I don't know, or it wasn't my fault, or when we start with accepting blame, you put in that qualifier, yes, I did it, but, or I only did it because. When you have the qualifier or but or because, it negates the whole accepting blame. So leaders, understand that creating a climate of accountability is a process, and it's going to take some time. It's a huge culture shift. So don't expect that it's going to be immediate, like when you walk into a room and you flip on the light switch and it's an immediate result. It's not a cause and effect that's immediate. It is going to be a process. You're working against the will for us not to take responsibility. So be patient, be nurturing, be reaffirming. Again, book number 2 in the Lead Well series, Flourishing with Feedback, is going to be a huge help to this. Visit the website, pleasantleadership.com/merchandise to help you with that. All right. So here are 2 quotes, and I'm going to put them up here, and I want to ask you which one resonates with you the best. So quote number 1 is, when you blame others, you give your power away. When you take responsibility, you take back your power to transform your life. Okay, so think about that. When you blame others, you give your power away, but when you take responsibility, you take back your power to transform your life. So quote number 2 is, the more you are willing to accept responsibility for your actions, the more credibility you will have. Okay? So think about this. When we blame others, we're giving away our power, but when we take the responsibility, we're taking back the power, and says quote number 1, and we're transforming our life. Quote number 2 is, the more we are willing to accept the responsibility for our own actions, the more credibility we're going to have in the long run. Think about that. It is in our nature to blame others. Think about when if your parents, children, toddlers, if they do something, they're going to blame somebody else. In our household growing up, there was myself and my sister, and whenever something went wrong, we blamed an imaginary sibling. In fact, we ended up naming our imaginary sibling Sammy Stinky Sheets, okay? So Sammy Stinky Sheets always did everything that was wrong in our house. Well, my parents knew that it was between me or my sister, usually me, okay? I'll take the blame. So we gave away our power in order to do what? Well, to avoid consequence, to avoid disapproval from our parents, right? So we're giving our power away when really we should have just accepted the consequence and moved on, right? So we don't know what we didn't know. We, as adults, we realize, just admit that you didn't do something, take the consequence and move on, rather than making it worse for yourself, denying it, lying about it, stacking up all the strikes. We were at a different maturation level, and we didn't know what we didn't know, that it was just better to accept this. So we were blaming others, right? That was all that we had in our skill set, so we had to be taught that. So as we learn that, the more you are willing to accept your responsibility for your actions, we are able to build our credibility. That is, as a leader, as you're building your accountability culture, please keep this in mind. Please keep this in mind. So you're going to have different people at different stages, different maturation stages. So some people are automatically going to take responsibility. They're going to have power in their life. They're going to be able to transfer their life. Other people are going to consistently be blaming others. They're just at different maturation. They're at different peaks and valleys in their life. So know that going in, and that's part of the process of why it's going to take so long to change the accountability culture in your organization. All right, let's go on to the next slide. So here are some examples of how you can show accountability and build accountability credibility in your work environment. All right, so you can pay attention to the details. You can acknowledge and fix your mistakes. All right, you can help your coworkers. You can develop a proactive approach. You can be a leader. Step up and take charge of the situation. You can stand up for what is right, not who is right. Talk about maturation. You can improve your attendance. And when I say attendance, I don't necessarily mean that you're at work on time, which that is important. Don't get me wrong. Don't hear what I'm not saying. But maybe just being present in the moment. Some of us need that. So it might mean, it might mean not being on this in a meeting, but being in the moment at the meeting. You can accept criticism, right? You can offer solutions and not complaints. Ooh, talk about a level of maturity. And our last one is you can offer a sincere apology. These are 10 ways that you can build credibility in your work environment of being accountable. These are not hard things to do. It does require you to slide your pride. Okay? I would suggest maybe picking 1 or 2 to work on. Don't do all 10 of them at the same time. Pick 1 or 2 to work on, get comfortable in it, and then go on to the next one. All right, here's a few more examples. If these are too hard for you, I got a couple others that are a little bit easier. Lead by example. Set goals, and I'm a big fan of the SMART goals. Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. Offer two-way feedback. I talk about that in the Flourishing with Feedback. And then track your commitments to one another, okay? All right, so let's talk about steps for accepting accountability for others. All right, so let's say as a leader, you want to give accountability to one of your followers and you want to make sure that that is being done in a way that is healthy for your relationship between the leader and the follower. So first and foremost, speak truth, okay? Speak truth, but speak it in a way that is not harmful, that is backed up by data, whether that's observation or whether that's by some sort of observation or some sort of results, something that you can come to them objective. All right? Have follow through. You can't just dump it and go. Either you've got to have communication with them, you got to have a plan to follow up with them, give them a detailed plan. This is how we're together. You're going to brainstorm strategies for the accountability, and you're going to have follow through with them and have a clear communication channel. So we're going to agree for meetings on Friday. Email me questions or I'll check in with you. I'll stop by and talk to you, or you can call me. We'll have a phone conference. We'll do a Zoom conference, whatever. Make sure the communication is clear. And then lastly, own the outcome, okay? So yes, we agreed that we would have bi-weekly meetings. We would set those up. I did not attend all of those, or I did attend those, or I was supposed to go to this training. I went to that training, but I did not do the follow-up. You know, whatever it is, make sure that you own the outcomes. All right. If you are truthful and accountable to the truth, everyone around you will know it. So in week 3, we talked about the person who has good intentions and a person with good character. That's what this is talking about. If you're truthful and accountable to the truth, everyone around you will know it. And that's the first part about being accountable, is does what you say match how you walk? All right, so let's talk about your language whenever you're having conversations about being accountable. So whether you're the leader to the follower or follower to the leader in that conversation, first and foremost, you want to be real. You want to be honest and have the conversation. You don't want to sugarcoat anything, but at the same time, you don't want to be harsh. The idea here for accountability is that you're helping someone grow, right? You want to tell them where their deficit is and so that you're going to help them to grow. You want to communicate with them in an honest manner, but you also want to be very clear on what is lacking, all right? You want to be very intentional with what your word choice, like I said, be honest, be real, but you're going to reflect as well. So reflect on your intent with them. Make sure that they understand. I said X, Y, Z. What did you hear? I heard this. And if there's something you don't know, it's okay to say, I don't know, or I forgot something. Be honest. And lastly, make certain that your language is authentic and that the actions are matched behind the words, okay? Again, that congruency that we talked about, all right? So if you are the follower who needs the accountability correction, make sure that you are open to hear everything and that you are on board with every step of the plan. If there's something that you feel that you can't do, let it be known. If you're the leader making the plan, make sure that it is realistic and that you are you're hearing what is being said. All right, last thing that I wanted to say about owning the outcome. Keep in mind that no snowflake in an avalanche ever feels that they are 100% responsible. So I said this before, I believe it was in week 2, I believe. Just remember that no one really believes that they were 100% responsible. So we have to, as leaders, we have to show some grace and we have to look at the perspective. People don't know what they don't know. Sometimes they don't know they were lacking the skill. Sometimes they don't know they're lacking the knowledge. So when when you are holding them accountable for the action, identify what happened. Is it because of lack of knowledge, lack of skill? And then help them to identify and own the outcome, and then correct behavior by providing the skill, providing the knowledge, or clarifying a procedure. And remember that not everyone intentionally does wrong, and the accountability process is not necessarily meant to destroy a person or an organization. Sometimes the accountability reveals that a skill needs to be taught or a knowledge needs to be filled. So no snowflake in an avalanche ever feels 100% responsible. It takes, sometimes through the process, we learn as leaders where we have missed a gap. And leaders, you need to go into that with an open mind to realize where in your organization or where your process you might have gaps that you need to fill in training or in your communication or where your process needs to be filled. So be open-minded when you go through that. All right, thank you so much for joining us. This wraps up week 4 in our series on leader accountability. I have enjoyed sharing this information with you. As always, I welcome any comments below. And if you would love to rewatch this again, it'll be in the playlist as our session 1, 2, and 3, if you need to go back and watch any of those again. If you need to contact us, you can contact us through our website, pleasantleadership.com, or you can call or text us at 904-458-7317. Leaders, go forth and lead well. Your followers need you. All right, we will start a new series next week, so hit that subscribe button so you don't miss it. Take care, guys.